From Hollywood, the Jack Benny Program with Jack's special guest, Danny Thomas.
Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening. Now, if I seem to be particularly happy today, there's a reason for it. You know, I got up bright and early this morning, and I went out to Hillcrest Country Club to play golf. And I played 18 holes, and I shot a 78. Now, this is unusual for me to play so well, you see, but I owe this all to the new pro we have at Hillcrest, because he made just one little suggestion and took 20 strokes right off my game. He told me to cheat. So now I carry 11 clubs and an eraser. I can hardly wait until tomorrow. I'm going to come in with a 76. You know, ladies and gentlemen, there's something that I'm going to do right now that I very seldom do. But there's a couple sitting in the audience that I'd like to have you meet. My sponsor and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis live in New York City, but the reason that he's out here right now is because it's almost option time, and he wants to be sure that I don't get away from him. You know, as long as I have been in show business, I've always made it a point to try to do something different or have something new on my show, you see. And the other day I was listening to a radio program, and I heard a violin player. Well, I don't recall the station, some small station, but this violinist was so wonderful that I immediately told my producer to get in touch with this violinist and have him here on my program, you see. And I understand he's here right now, and I'd like to have you meet him. His name is Mr. Orville Gifford. Mr. Gifford, I'm Jack Benny.
Hi, Rube.
Now, before you play a number, I'm sure that our viewers would like to know something about you.
Well, I'm not only a musician on radio in the evening, but during the day I operate my own farm.
Oh, you have a farm. Are you married?
Yep, married and got 16 kids.
16 children?
Yeah.
What are their names?
Well, there's A, Alvin, B, Bertram, C, Catherine, Donald, Ella, Francis, Zebra.
Wait a minute, hold it, just a minute. You named one of your children Zebra?
Yep. I was hoping if I skipped right to the Z's, that would be the end of it.
And it wasn't?
No. George, Henry, Iris.
I see. Now, the reason I asked you to come on this show was to play your violin. I understand you do novelty numbers. Is that right?
Well, I wrote a musical melodrama that wowed them at the county fair.
A musical melodrama?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Well, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure we all would.
Well, at the rise of the curtain, we see a living room. In the center of the living room, there's a dog fast asleep, but a burglar enters the house through a rusty door. We hear the door open. He's in. It's dark in this room. He don't see the dog, and he steps on the dog's tail.
Wait a minute. Is that the dog yelping?
No, the burglar. The dog bit him. There's a knock on the door. The owner arrives. He sees this burglar take the money, and the struggle is on. He's up. He's down. The owner shoots.
Oh, and he got the burglar.
No, the shot woke up the dog.
Now I'm all mixed up. I imagine that's the finish.
That's right. Tomorrow night, East Lynn.
Mr. Gifford, come out here and take a bow. Mr. Gifford, I want to thank you very, very much for appearing on my show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benny, for the opportunity. Before I go, I'd like you to meet my wife.
Well, that's very nice, but some other time.
She's waiting right there in the wings.
I know, but I'm pretty busy right now.
Just a minute. Oh, Bessie! Bessie, come out here.
This is your wife?
Yep. Ain't as big a hick as you thought I was.
No, you're not.
Come on, Bessie, let's go. So long, Rube.
Well, after 16 children, he sure looks good. You know, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, my enthusiasm for finding new talent doesn't always work out so well. But fortunately, I have a sponsor who goes along with my experiments. Isn't that right, Mr. Lewis? Oh, my goodness, he's gone.
Snap out of it.
I can't help it. Imagine my sponsor walking out right in the middle of my show.
Well, it's your own fault. You knew your sponsor was going to be in the audience. You had to give him Orville Gifford instead of spending money for a good act.
Yeah. And of all times for it to happen. I mean, just tomorrow morning, I got to walk into Mr. Lewis's office and talk about a deal for next year.
Well, look, Jack, if you're really worried about the business meeting with your sponsor tomorrow, why don't you call Mr. Lewis and tell him you'd like to have dinner with him tonight?
Hey, that's a good idea. No, that's ridiculous. I mean, if he was mad enough to walk out in the middle of the show, how can I expect him to buy my dinner?
No, Jack, you buy his.
Oh, all right. All right. Now, where would be a good place to take him, Mary? I mean, how about the Coconut Grove?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. They have a great floor show, and I hear Milton Berle is terrific.
Milton Berle is playing there?
Yeah, and they say he's never been funnier.
Must be someplace else I can take my sponsor. Who's playing at the Beverly Hilton?
Let me see. Red Skelton.
Skelton is playing there?
Yeah, and he's a riot.
Mary, why do you have to keep bringing up places like the Coconut Grove and the Beverly Skelton?
Well, you brought them up.
I don't care who brought them up. There must be someplace else we can take my sponsor.
Well, Jack, if you're afraid to take your sponsor to any place where there's a comedian playing, how about the Macombo? Tony Martin's working there.
No, that's out.
Oh, but Jack, Tony Martin's only a singer.
I know, but sometimes he ad-libs a funny introduction, and I'm in no position to take chances. Hey, I know what. Let's take him to the Ascot Room.
The Ascot Room?
Yeah. It's a great place. No comedians there. The feature act is Marcel and his puppet.
A puppet show?
Sure. And look, as long as my sponsor and his wife want to relax, there's no reason why I shouldn't relax, too. Mary, look, you go and change your clothes, and I'll call my sponsor and tell him I'm going to pick him up in a cab right away.
Okay. Oh, Jack, you better let me take my car.
Why?
Well, with your luck, you may get a funny cab driver.
No, that's good thinking. Good thinking. I'll tell you.
Jack, I hate to do this, but I think Mrs. Lewis and I'd better be running along. You know, I was up very early this morning. I've got a big day tomorrow. In fact, I've got 2 appointments ahead of yours.
Oh, well, wait a minute, Mr. Lewis. Why don't you stay and see the rest of the show? There's a puppet act down here that's sensational. There's a talk of the town. I love them. Sit down, please.
Well, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been fortunate during the past few weeks to have as our featured attraction that world-famous puppet act, Marcel and his singing puppets.
You'll love it.
But unfortunately, Marcel caught the flu today and will be unable to appear.
Oh, that's a shame.
Fortunately, at the last minute, a very dear friend of mine, a man whom you all know and love, consented to come on and fill in for him. And here he is, one of America's foremost entertainers, the one and only Danny Thomas.
Thank you very much. Oh, please. Mr. Lewis, I guess you were right. Come on, let's go.
No, sit down, Jack. Sit down. I want to watch this. I've never seen Danny Thomas in a nightclub before.
I know, but look, you got up so early. You have to get up so early tomorrow morning. And look at the big day you've got. You've got a couple of appointments.
Well, I can cancel yours. What?
Sit down.
Thank you very much. A lovely reception. I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry it has to be under these circumstances. But, you know, it seems lately I've been substituting for a lot of actors who've been getting sick. I guess I'm the only entertainer in the world who's registered with the Actors Guild and the Mayo Clinic.
It certainly is. Well, I think...
I gotta tell you a story. I must tell you people a story because you're a very receptive audience and it's cute story. It's a fella goes to a psychiatrist, see, looking pretty peaked, and the psychiatrist says, now, just lie down on the couch, my man. We'll get to your problem in a moment. First, tell me about yourself, about your family life. I says, well, Doc, I'm very happily married. I have a very beautiful wife. I have a son attending Harvard. Our daughter goes to Vassar. We have a 40-room house. We have 3 automobiles, a swimming pool. We have a yacht at Balboa. We have our own airplane, too. And the doctor said, well, my goodness, that sounds like very luxurious living. What's your problem? And he said, well, Doc, my problem is I only make $65 a week. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to sing a little song for you, if I may.
He sings, too.
He not only sings, he's a star of stage, screen, television, nightclub.
Mary, you're talking yourself right back into the May Company.
When the red, red robin comes bobbing along, there'll be no more sobbing when he starts to throbbing his old sweet song. Hey, wake up, you sleepyhead. Get up, get out of bed. Cheer up, the sun is red. Live, love, laugh, and be happy. What if I've been blue? I'm walking through fields of flowers. Rain may glisten, but still I listen for hours and hours. I am just a kid again, doing what I did again, singing a song. When the red, red robin comes bobbing along. What if I've been blue? Now I'm walking through fields of flowers. Rain may glisten, but still I listen for hours and hours. I'm just a kid again, doing what I did again, just singing my song. When the red, red robin, oh, the red, red robin, when the red, red robin comes a-bobbing along.
much, ladies and gentlemen. You know, my appearance here tonight was quite unexpected, and I honestly don't know what else to do for you.
Hey, Danny, tell us the story about the man on the bus.
Oh, do you want to hear that one? All right. Give me that hat, will you? Thank you. Well, there was this fella, see? He was on a bus traveling from New York to Los Angeles by bus.
Hey, Danny, how about the Toledo story?
Those yokels hollering for numbers over there.
Tell the bus story again, Danny. What'd you say, Jack?
Nothing.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I came out here expecting to do only about 15 minutes. I've been on over an hour. Thank you very, very much for a delightful evening. Goodbye.
Let me your handkerchief. I've been laughing so much I'm crying.
Jack has a few tears in his eyes, too.
Imagine a man coming on at the last minute and holding an audience in the palm of his hand for over an hour.
I still think it's a shame that you missed the puppet act.
Jack, look, here comes Danny.
Hi, Mary.
Hello, Danny.
Yeah, hi, Jack.
Hello, Danny.
Hey, I got a note to come to your table.
A note?
Yeah, who's Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Lewis is Jack's sponsor.
Always happy to meet a sponsor. How are you, Mr.
Hello,
Lewis?
Danny. Fine, thank you.
And this is Mrs. Lewis.
Well, how do you do,
How
Mrs.
do you
Lewis?
do?
Certainly hope you folks enjoyed the show.
Oh, we thought it was wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. Do you mind if I sit down?
No, Danny, I'm sorry, but we really have to go now. We've been here so long. Come on, Mr. Lewis.
Well, Jack, if you're feeling tired, why don't you run along?
Thank you. Just a moment.
Well, all right, I'll stay.
Well, if you want to stay, I really got to go.
Why?
I have to get up early in the morning, look for a job. You've saved your money.
It's certainly a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, my dear. Why don't you just call me Danny?
Well, you know, Danny, you have a television show every week. You make motion pictures. You appear in nightclubs. Where do you find the time and the energy?
Well, I'm pretty well organized, and being young helps a lot, too. As a matter of fact, I've had so much extra time and energy on my hands lately that my agent is looking for another television show for me. Jack, let me slap you on the back.
Don't, Danny. You've heard him enough.
Danny, you do tell the funniest stories. I don't think there's anyone who tells a joke as well as you do.
You know, buddy, I heard a very funny story the other day about a fellow who passed a restaurant, you see, and there was a big sign in the window that said, "We'll give $1,000 if someone orders something that we haven't got." See? So this fellow walked inside, sat down at the table, and he said to the waiter, he said, "I'd like an elephant's ear on a bun." See? So the waiter went out to the kitchen about a half hour. He came back and he said, "Here's your $1,000. Well, I mean, evidently you've heard the story. Huh?
No, I didn't hear it. I just didn't get it.
Oh.
Did I?
Funny, when I heard it, I fell over.
Where'd you hear it?
At the Shapery, I told it. It was like Jack said, you know, the way it started. This fellow came into this restaurant where they had this big sign. You get $1,000 if you order something we haven't got. So this fellow walks into the restaurant, sits down, calls the waiter over, and he says, "Say, Bud, I'll have an elephant's ear on a bun." And the waiter says, "Yes, sir. Will that be African elephant or Indian elephant?"
It's funnier already.
So the fellow says, "Indian elephant. And I want it on a bun." So the waiter goes out. He's gone about a half hour. He comes back. He says to the man, "Here you are, sir. Here's your $1,000. And the wise guy says, "Uh-huh. Out of elephant ears, eh?" And the waiter says, "No, sir. Out of buns."
I mean, he changed a few words, but it, basically it's the same story.
Well, folks, I hate to rush off this way, but I've got a second show to do. So I'm very, very happy to...
Goodbye, Danny. Enjoyed it.
Goodbye, Mrs. Lewis. Goodbye, Mary dear. So long,
Bye,
Jack.
Danny.
So long.
Well, Mr. Lewis, let's go, huh? No, Jack, I want to stay and see the second show.
But Mr. Lewis, you've got such a big day tomorrow. And don't forget, we have an early appointment in the morning, about my new contract.
Well, Jack, I don't think that meeting will be necessary.
What? Well, Mr. Lewis, how can you do that to me? I mean, I've been with you so many years. I mean, you can't turn me out to pasture now. I'll admit that some of my jokes weren't funny, but I can always make them better, And I sing, too. When the red, red robin comes bobbing along.
Mr. Lewis, you've got to think this over. Mr. Lewis, talk to him, will you please? Talk to him. Jack, I don't know why you're so excited. This meeting tomorrow morning would be a mere formality. We've already signed your contract, and we'll mail it to you.
Mrs. Lewis, will you... You mean that I've been renewed?
Of course.
Well, I mean, Sir Lewis, why didn't you tell me sooner?
Well, I told you earlier last year, and I got stuck with a check.
He certainly has a wonderful sense of humor.
I sing, too.
Mr. Lewis, I must admit that I was plenty worried when I looked out in the audience and saw you left the studio in the middle of my show.
Well, Jack, you see...
I thought when you weren't there anymore, I thought my whole career was ended.
Well, Jack, the only reason I walked out in the middle of your show was I wanted to catch Orville Gifford before he left the studio. I thought he was great. So I signed him for your summer replacement.
You signed Orville Gifford for my summer replacement?
There he is, right over there.
Hi, Rube.
Well, I'll be darned. Oh, waiter. Give our check to Mr. Gifford. He's working now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And now, I'd like to bring out once again, for a bow, my guest star, Danny Thomas. Danny, it was just wonderful having you on the show. And I want to tell you, you are not only a fine artist and really a great comedian, but you are a great guy. Well, I understand that the check that I'm giving you for this show that you are donating to charity.
Well, yes, Jack, I was going to donate it to charity, but then I changed my mind.
Why?
Well, after I found out how much you're paying me, I was ashamed.
Well, of course, if you're sensitive about it, well, then that's up to you, Well,
pleasure.
Well, good night, folks.
Have you caught Maude recently? It's getting funnier and funnier, and it's on TV 20 Monday through Friday following the Jeffersons at 6:30.
Stay tuned for We the People coming up next on TV 20.